Mr. Begich, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alaska may be the state with the largest landmass, but we also face some of the longest, slowest, and most unpredictable federal permitting processes anywhere in the country. And when permitting breaks down, it threatens our ability to develop energy, build roads, maintain critical minerals production, and even provide basic modern infrastructure for our rural communities. That's why meaningful permitting reform is not a partisan issue for Alaskans. It is a survival issue, and it is why the SPEED Act is so important. This legislation restores NEPA to what Congress intended, a procedural statute that requires agencies to take a hard look at environmental effects, but does not serve as a vehicle for federal agencies to impose policy preferences or de facto vetoes. Clarifying NEPA's purpose is foundational. It gives agencies confidence and direction, and it gives project applicants predictability. The bill also provides genuine efficiency by ending duplicative reviews. Alaska already has a strong state-level environmental set of laws, and when the federal government requires a second nearly identical analysis, it adds years to projects unnecessarily. The SPEED Act allows federal agencies to treat compliant state, tribal, or other federal processes as equivalent to NEPA when appropriate, saving time and taxpayer resources without sacrificing environmental protections. That matters immensely for Alaska's energy industry, our emerging critical minerals sector, and for major energy and transportation corridors in my state. Another critical reform in this bill is refocusing environmental documents on effects that are actually caused by the project, not speculative or far-removed impacts. Too often, agencies get pulled into issues that are separate in time or place, ballooning EISs into thousands of pages. That doesn't help the environment, and it certainly doesn't help the public understand what's truly at stake. The SPEED Act restores discipline to that process. Timeline certainty is another area where Alaska has been desperately seeking reform. The bill requires agencies to make completeness determinations quickly, to decide the appropriate level of review within 60 days, and to issue a final decision within 30 days of finishing the environmental document. And importantly, if agencies want to extend a review timeline, they now have to obtain the consent of the project applicant. That is essential in a state where missing a seasonal window can cost an entire year or more of progress on a project. The bill also strengthens the use of programmatic documents and previously completed environmental reviews. In a place like Alaska, where similar types of infrastructure are often built in comparable conditions, being able to rely on earlier NEPA work rather than being forced to reinvent the wheel each time is a huge efficiency gain. Another major piece of the SPEED Act is litigation reform. The bill makes clear that courts must provide deference to federal agencies in evaluating environmental effects consistent with recent case law. It limits the ability of courts to vacate decisions over procedural deficiencies. Remand, not project-killing injunctions, becomes the default. And lawsuits must be timely, brought within 150 days, and filed by people with a genuine substantive stake, not anonymous template commenters. These reforms don't weaken environmental protections. They preserve those environmental protections while stopping abuses that have turned NEPA into a never-ending litigation machine. The bill also contains important provisions for tribes. In Alaska, we have 229 federally recognized tribes, and many are driving innovative resource and infrastructure projects. The SPEED Act creates a presumption against the no-action alternative when tribes seek to use their own resources, respecting tribal sovereignty and reducing unnecessary obstacles to development on tribally controlled lands. And finally, the expedited judicial timelines ensure that when litigation does occur, it concludes within months rather than years. For Alaska, where capital investment depends on certainty, that is a transformative change. Mr. Chairman, the SPEED Act is comprehensive, thoughtful, and grounded in decades of real-world experience with how NEPA actually functions on the ground. This bill does not weaken environmental stewardship. It strengthens it by making the process more clear, more predictable, and more focused on genuine impacts. For Alaska's economy and for our energy future, for our communities, and for the responsible development of our natural resources, this legislation is absolutely essential. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of the SPEED Act, and I look forward to it advancing today. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Magazine.